delay. Well, welcome everybody to our how to recruit 20 people in 1 month, actually in March webinar series. This is part 3 of a 4-part series, so we are halfway. And if you've missed either of the other two, you can go to teamrenew.com, scroll down, look at the blog post entitled Recruit 20 Webinar Series. Click on that and you'll see those 2 videos of the previous webinars. We've got a lot to do tonight. If you have a question while I'm going through any of the material, feel free to use the chat feature. Sorry about that. Feel free to use the chat feature. Send me a question. Just type it out, and we'll take those first come, first serve. So if you have a question, let's say I'm on slide number 5. You've got a question. Go ahead and type it out. Send it. I'll get to it on the back end of this webinar where we'll be doing a Q&A. And let me just do a quick sound check just to make sure that we're... Yes, okay, we're good. Make sure our sound is coming through okay. Make sure that we are recorded. So tonight I will be your trainer. Mr. Jeff Hughes was going to join us. I just got a text message from him that said that he is unable to get on tonight. So hope all is well there. But if you've been on the webinars before, y'all know me, Chris Hughes. And for the new people, I've been with Legal Shield for 13 years, and welcome to the team. We're so excited that you're all here tonight. I'm also going to ask again that you all take notes. It's been said that a short pencil is better than a long memory any day and every day. So make sure that you take good notes. You will have an opportunity to watch this video over and over and over again, but it's still a good thing to take notes. Now, in this webinar series, we've been talking about the 7 fundamental skills of network marketing, the profession of which we're all a part of. In the first 2 webinars, we covered finding prospects, how to find prospects, how to create your prospects list, how to invite prospects, and how to present to prospects, obviously using third-party tools. So in tonight's webinar, we're going to be training on how to follow up with prospects and how to close prospects. Now keep in mind, this is not about selling memberships. That's a completely different training. This is about how to recruit 20 people in the month of March, how to recruit people, the skill set of recruiting people. So when we use the term closing prospects, we mean getting them into the business, enrolling them into the business, sponsoring them in the business, starting them in the business. So let's jump right in. So you're either going to take information to your prospects. This is just a bit of a recap of some of the things we've talked about already. You're either going to take information to your prospects, which is tools. So you're going to take a tool to Joe, or a video to Joe, or you're going to send an online video to Mary, or you're going to put Barbara on a recorded call. A third-party tool is, the definition of a third-party tool is anything that isn't you. Anything that isn't you. So you're going to take the information to your prospect. That's one option. Or you're going to take your prospect to the information. And I know that lady's looking real sassy there with her hand on her hip, but it was the best I could do at the time. So you take your prospect, Jane, to the business briefing, to the event, to the information. That's what we do. It's so very simple. We're not selling anything to anybody. We're not twisting their arms. We're not trying to be the information. We're not even having to do the presentation. We take the presentation to the people, or we take the people to the presentation. That's it. It looks like this. This is really all we do. We use tools and events. We hand out tools. We take prospects to events. If they get started, they get tools. They get tools into the marketplace. They bring prospects to the events. Tools and events, tools and events, tools and events. This is the basic idea of what we do when building a team. We use tools and we go to events. We use tools for prospects. We take our prospects to the events. But there's actually a more sophisticated way to do this. There's a systematic way to do this, and it's called the exposure process. There's actually a process for getting your prospects exposed to our business, getting them the information, and then, the system will continue to support that prospect so that we can get that prospect into your business. So you can see there at home plate, this is like a baseball diamond, right? You start with a list of names, and we've already talked about that, right? You're going to, you can see there in the orange there on the right, it says you're going to approach people, you're going to contact them, you're going to invite them, you're going to pique interest, right? We talked about that already in webinar number, I can't remember, but a previous webinar. And the goal of piquing their interest is to get them to first base. First base is third-party tools. We want to pique their interest, right? So we ask a question like, hey, are you open to making extra money? If they say yes, well, then we get them a third-party tool. Okay? Now, it's at that point, let me backtrack just a little bit. So this was in a previous webinar, but you build your list. See, if I go back, you see that list of names. You're starting at home base, home plate. You're making your list of names. You're reaching out, you're contacting and inviting. You see that in step 3. You're piquing interest by asking questions. Hey, do you keep your career options open? Are you open to making additional income? And then you're contacting and inviting. These are some of those things that we talked about last week. This is all, kind of happening between home plate and first base. And I know I'm going fast, but this is just a recap on what we've already talked about. So again, third-party tools, definition of third-party tools is anything that's not you, website, DVD, CD, sizzle call, flipbook, anything that's not you is a third-party tool. So at some point after they viewed, watched, listened to a third-party tool, this is the place where you want to follow up to determine interest. You got to, at some point, you can't just give them a tool and just assume that they're interested. You've got to ask. You've got to ask some questions, right? So right after you've gotten them to first base is third-party tools. They've now had an exposure. They've gotten some information, but you don't know if they're interested. So you've got to ask, right? You've got to find out. So this is how to follow up and determine interest with your prospects. Very, very simple. These are all really the same question, but you can just ask it in different ways. So let's say they did a sizzle call. Could you hear that okay? Yeah. So what'd you like best? What'd you like best about what you just heard? Or if they watched a video, hey, did you watch that video I sent you? Yeah. Awesome. What'd you like best about what you saw? See, this is so simple. And by the way, this never changes. What we're teaching you is a system. It's a system. And a system stands for it's SYSTEM. Save yourself some time, energy, and money. This is a system, and it works very, very well. So you never change this. After you've got them on first base, after you've piqued their interest, you've gotten them a third-party tool, they've reviewed the information. Now this is exactly how you follow up to determine interest. Every single time. This is how you do it. So what'd you like best? What'd you like best about what you heard? So what'd you like best about what you saw? You ask these questions over and over and over again. So now you can see, look at the graphic there, going from first base to second base. Second base is a three-way call. It's a three-way call. Now, you'll notice between first and second base that it says edification. And what that means is you're going to edify your upline. You're going to edify your expert, the person that you're working with. Maybe it's the person who recruited you. Maybe it's your upline manager, director, executive director. Maybe it's just a friend that you have at the business briefing and you've agreed to share three-way calls, right? You're going to edify that person to give your prospect a reason for wanting to listen to your expert. Okay, so the three-way call does a few things. Number one, it gets you out of the way. You might be broke. You might um, you might stutter. You might be a bad communicator. You might might be loved, might not be loved by this person, right? That we all have our own limitations, and especially when you're new, when you're new, you got to get out of the way and let your prospects see someone else. It's so important that that happen. So it allows you to get out of the way. Your expert's going to make the invitation. They're the ones, your upline or your support team, they're the ones that are going to invite your prospect to go to the business briefing. And it also shows your prospect the support system. It shows your prospect that they don't have to know any of the answers to the questions. They don't have to, um, they don't have to be a know-it-all. They don't have to do all the work. It shows them, wow, there's all this support. I can just follow the system, use the support, and I can have success. So that edification is very, very, very important. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that now. See, the reality is, as I mentioned earlier, you see here, your friends, that's that orange square there. Your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers. You're up above, okay? There's some magic between you and the people that you know. And it's they like you and they know you and they trust you, but they don't respect you when it comes to Legal Shield. What do you know about Legal Shield? You're a therapist, right? What do you know about Legal Shield? You're a college dropout. What do you know about making money? You're broke. What do you know about making money? What do you know about legal? You're a doctor, not an attorney. What do you know about Legal Shield? You work at the grocery store, right? So they like you, they know you, they trust you, but they don't respect you. And that's why it is so critical that you edify your expert, edify your upline, your support team, your sponsor. It doesn't matter, who does your three-way call. They just need to know what they're doing. That's all. They just need to know what they're doing. But you want to edify that person. And what happens is your friends, family, neighbors, they like, know, and trust you, which is a magic combination. That brings magic into this recipe that is so, so important. But now when you bring a third party, someone in, all they know about this person, your upline or your support team, your expert, all they know about them is what you said about them. So what you say about them is very, very important. You want to let them know this is person's doing well in the company, they're making a lot of money, they're rising star in the company, whatever. You want to just make sure that good things are said. And I'll give you a few examples of this. You want to make sure that you leverage the experts. So edification. Here's a couple of examples of what you might say. Well, hey, Mary, I'm actually working with one of the top executives in the company. I'd really love for you to hear her story, right? That's one part of the edification process. De-edification would sound like this. Well, hey, listen, I work with one of the top money earners in the company, and she wants to talk to you. That sounds like we're chasing your prospect. We don't want to do that. No, I want you to hear her story. She's so down to earth. She's so easy to talk to. She's been so wildly successful. I'd love to introduce you to her, right? Another example of edification. Well, hey, listen, Mr. Hughes is very busy, but let me see if I can get a minute of his time, right? Compared to, look, I know you're busy, Joe Prospect. This will just be quick. Hold on. Let you got to talk to this guy, right? That's de-edification. No, we don't care if the prospect is busy or not. I mean, we do care, but not in this process, right? In this process, we're giving all the power to the expert, right? We're giving all the power to the expert. So don't de-edify your expert. Another example is, de-edification. Hey, let me call my buddy. Let me call my my homeboy. Let me get this dude on the phone. Hold on a sec. You don't do that. It's always Mr. or Mrs. Always Mr. or Mrs. Okay? So those are some ideas on edification. So once your prospect and your expert are connected on a three-way call, right? So you've got the call bridged together now. And I'll go ahead and walk you through how this sounds, okay? Um, let's say my prospect is Joe. And let's say I do a sizzle call with Joe, and I get off the sizzle call, and Joe's on the line with me, and I disconnect from the sizzle call and I go, "Hey Joe, are you there?" "Yeah, I'm here." "Oh, great, Joe. So could you hear that okay?" "Yeah, I could hear that fine." "All right. Hey, awesome, man. Well, so what'd you like best about what you just heard? What'd you like best?" Joe says, "This is really interesting." I go, "Yeah, it is. It is interesting, isn't it?" And listen, Joe, um, there's actually somebody that I'd like you to meet. I'm working with one of the top people in the company, and his name is Mr. Hughes, and I'm referring to Mr. Jeff Hughes, of course, but his name is, that's probably a bad example because I'm a Hughes. His name is Mr. Samaniego, and he's one of the top people in the company. He's down to earth, easy to talk to, making an incredible income. He's really busy, but let me see if I can get a moment of his time. Just a second. Click. Okay. That's how you set up the three-way call. And notice I didn't ask for permission. And notice I didn't apologize. And notice I didn't say anything like, "Well, hey, I know you're busy," but I didn't do any of that. I just went right through the process, said, "Want to introduce you to this person," did the proper edification. He's super busy. Let me see if I can get him a minute of his time. Hold on just a second. Click. Right? Now my prospect is now on hold. They're just sitting there on hold, dead air, right? I dial Mr. Samiego's phone number. He picks up. "Hello, hey, Mr. Samiego, it's Chris Hughes. How you doing?" "Oh, hey, Mr. Hughes, good. How are you doing?" "Good, good, good. Listen, I have Joe on the other line. He just listened to the sizzle call. He thinks it's really interesting, and I'd love for you to share your story and invite him to the business briefing this Thursday in Sandy, Utah." "Okay, great. All right, hold on, Mr. Samiego. Let me bridge the call together." Okay. So now when I bridge the call together, this is what it sounds like. "Hey, great news, Joe. I was able to reach Mr. Samiego. Joe, this is Mr. Samiego. Mr. Samiego, this is Joe." And that's it. It's that easy. And your job, if you're putting somebody on the phone on a three-way call, your job is to sit there and listen and be quiet and take notes. You don't interrupt your expert for any reason. Now, if they're missing something or you need to remind them of something, send them a text. Send them a text while they're talking to your prospect. But this is all you have to do. When you get the expert and your prospect connected, "Hey, great news, Joe prospect. I was able to reach Mr. Samiego. Mr. Samiego, this is Joe. Joe, this is Mr. Samiego." And Mr. Samiego or your upline or your expert, they take it from there. Okay? And at the end of that, your expert is going to invite your prospect to an upcoming live event or going to help them get started if they're ready. Now, I know a lot of questions that we're going to have. A lot of people, are probably newer people, are asking, "Well, what's Mr. Samiego saying? How do I become an expert? What am I supposed to say on the other end?" Well, I want to tell you a quick story. I will answer that question, but let me tell you a quick story. So there was a guy on my team back in the day, probably, well, he started probably about 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And he was very, very talented. I mean, really talented. But he was always wanting to make documents. He wanted to make documents and he wanted to make websites and he wanted to, and it's like, look, we have all that stuff, we have all that stuff made. And one day he calls me up and he's fairly new in the company. And, I get a little fascinated with this guy because rather than going out and producing, he's wanting to make documents, right? And so he calls me up and he says, "Hey, Mr. Hughes, got a question for you." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Can you help me make a document? I'm making a document for my team that, and I want to train them on how to do a three-way call." and I just wanted to make sure that I have all the strategy right. He's like, could you spend a few minutes with me? And I said, his name was Mike, but I said, Mike, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I'm in the middle of something right now, but can I propose something else to you? And he said, yeah, what's that? And I said, may I suggest that you do some three-way calls before you train your team to do some three-way calls. You see, you'll learn how to do you if you did three-way calls, and of course I had to ask his permission to coach him. And by the way, in leadership, this is a great question for you all to learn that have teams. You're going to have to correct them from time to time, help them, teach them, train them. Learn to say this. Hey, Mike, may I have your permission to coach you? Get their permission. May I have your permission to coach you a little bit? Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem. Okay, great. Mike, listen, the reason why you're calling me and asking me how to do three-way calls is because you're not doing three-way calls. And the best way to learn how to do a three-way call is to do three-way calls. And if you'll do 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, you'll have this stuff memorized. You'll have your part memorized. You'll have my part memorized. And at that point, then you can make a document. We have one on the website, by the way. But if you want to make a document, that's fine. But, and then you can teach your organization how to do three-way calls based upon experience. You dig? You picking up what I'm laying down? And he got it. And I'm sure some of you want to know. And I would say do three-way calls, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. If you will go to Google and just Google Team Renew three-way calls, it'll be the first link that comes up on Google. Just Google Team Renew three-way calls. And this is a document called, it's the why and how to do three-way calls. It tells you both parts, the expert's part, your part. I believe, I haven't looked at it in a while. I probably should have done that before the webinar. I apologize, but that's where you can find that, because I do know we've got some urchins on the line that got to have all the answers, and feel free to go and get that. Okay. All right. So first base is third party tool. Second base is three-way calls. Third base is live events. So you see there on the top left of that baseball diamond, it says invitation. That's what your expert, the person that you're doing the three-way call with, that's what they're doing. They're going to do the invitation for you, and they're going to get your prospect to third base. Third base is live events. Live events could be private business receptions. It could be a private conference call. It could be a luncheon, weekly business briefings, super Saturdays, regional nationals. All of these are great. All of these are wonderful. All of these are effective. However, the bottom three are the most effective events that you can get your prospects to. Live business briefings, your weekly briefings, your monthly super Saturdays, or your regional or national events. These are huge. And I would suggest, actually, I don't even need to suggest it. The statistics are that 90+% of the people that you put through this exposure process, first base, second base, third base, 9 out of 10, think about that. 9 out of 10 of the people that you put through this process, if you'll get them to a weekly business briefing, super Saturday, or regional, they're signing up. They're either going to buy the membership, or they're going to join your business, or both. And there's about an 80+% chance that they're going to do both right then on the spot. So that's third base, getting them to live events. And then at the live event, we're going to sign them up, get them to home plate where they're going to make their list and begin the process all over again. They're going to duplicate this entire process. So now let's talk about tips for closing after, oh, that says life event. Let me fix that. My proofreader is on vacation. I don't really have one, but it's my wife, and she's been busy all day today. So tips for closing after a live event. Again, when we say closing, we mean just asking for the order, right? Inviting them to join your team. That's what we mean by closing. Closing is kind of a sales technique, but I think we all know what it is that we're talking about. So here's your first tip for closing after a live event. When you're at that business briefing, for example, you've got a notepad or a journal that you're taking notes with, and you've got applications underneath your journal. If you have a guest in the room, you have a pen in your pocket, in your hand, and you have applications on your lap. What you don't want to do after the event is have to scramble. I'm going to teach you how to close here in just a moment. I'm going to teach you the exact words to say, how to say them. And when you're done saying them, you don't want to have to, walk around the room and ask somebody for a pen or for an application. You want to be prepared. So have applications on your lap, have a pen in your hand. Okay. After a live event, you're ready to rock. Number two is assume the sale. And what this means is, look, they saw a third party tool. You gave them a third party tool. You did a three-way call. They volunteered to come to the briefing. They came to the briefing. Why would they not sign up? They just saw a professional presentation, showed them everything they needed to know. It answered almost all their questions, probably all their questions. So just assume it. Assume that they're good. Assume that they're excited. Assume that they're in. And be enthusiastic. There's nothing worse than an unenthusiastic sponsor, right? Be enthusiastic. Be excited that they're there. Be excited that they're getting ready to start the business with you. You want to get knee to knee with them if possible. And a lot of after the speakers, the business briefing speakers are supposed to say at the end of their business briefing, well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the first portion of the business briefing or of the presentation. The second part is where you circle up, get with the people that, get with the person who invited you here so that you can get your questions answered or get your paperwork started. Thanks so much for coming out. Good night. God bless. And everybody starts clapping, right? Well, you want, as soon as the briefing is over, you want to get knee to knee, or the presentation is over, I should say. You want to get knee to knee with your prospects, circle up where you're looking at them and they're looking at you. It doesn't necessarily have to be face to face. Maybe you're off to the side a little bit. That's fine too. But just get knee to knee if possible so that you can look each other in the eye and do the paperwork when they're ready to get started. You want to master this concept of mirror matching. Mirror matching. And I think we talked about this on a previous webinar. But mirror matching is however they act and whatever they say, you do the same thing, just like a mirror, right? So if you say to them, for example, and I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here, but um, let's say you ask the question, so what'd you like best? And I'll teach you this in just a moment. But the briefing's over, you get knee to knee, applications are on your lap, you're going to assume the sale, you're excited, and you say, so what'd you like best? And they go, wow, that was awesome. Then you would mirror that energy and you'd say, I know, right? Isn't that awesome? Wasn't that awesome? You're going to do virtually the exact same thing that they did. There's a lot of psychology in this that we're not going to go into tonight, but at its core, people like people who are like them. People like to do business with people that they like, right? And if you are acting like them, then they like that. They like you better if you're acting like them, right? If you're mirror matching them. So again, you may ask the question, say, well, Mary, what did you like? So what did you like best? And Mary says, this is very, very interesting, right? She's kind of the professor type, the engineer type. This is very, very interesting. And then you would say, I know it is, isn't it? You mirror match her energy. She's subdued, you're subdued. I know it is, isn't it? That's what I thought. I mean, it's very interesting. And you may think this is silly, and it's fun to do. I love doing it. I think it's great. It's kind of a game, to see how much you can mirror them, and they never even pick up on it, which is even funnier. But it's just kind of an interesting thing to do. But so, or you may ask the question, so what did you like best, Joe? Everything. I'm blown away. Then you get animated and you do exactly what he said. I know, right? I mean, that's how I felt. I was like, wow, everything. I love everything. So you just mirror match. These are tips for closing after a live event, and use the 3-question close. Use the 3-question close. I'm going to teach you that in just a moment. And if needed, after the 3-question close, you're going to move on and use the 4-question close only if needed. Now, let's talk about the 3-question close. The 3-question close is so simple, you can learn it in about 35 seconds. It's so simple, you can learn it in about 35 seconds. Most of you already know it. Here's the other thing you need to know about the 3-question close is that about, 80+% of the people, 70, 80, 90, I don't know what it is, but a majority, an overwhelming majority of the people that you ask the 3-question close to or of, you ask these 3 questions to them, a large majority of the people that you ask these questions to on the backside of a live business briefing, they're going to sign up. They're going to sign up at the end of these 3 questions. Okay, question number 1. So you get knee to knee. Okay, applications are on your lap. You're excited, and you just look at them and you say, "So what did you like best?" And by the way, while you're asking these questions, you might want to practice nodding your head up and down. And everybody just do that now. Just nod your head up and down and just ask that question. Just say it out loud. Just say, "So what'd you like best?" And bob your head up and down, up and down, up and down. This is, again, it's psychology. It's basic, but it is really, really effective. Because you'll notice as you start bobbing your head and you're asking, "What'd you like best?" which is a positive question, right? They're going to start bobbing their head up and down, and they're gonna, they get into this zone, right? They get into this positive zone. So you're bobbing your head up and down. You go, "So Mary, what'd you like best?" Mary says, "Well, this is fabulous. This is crazy. I can't believe I've never heard of this before." And you say, "I know, Mary, isn't it? That's what I thought." Like, this is nuts. I've never even heard of this company before. Okay, you're mirror matching. After that, you say, "Well, so Mary, do you see an opportunity for yourself?" And Mary says, "Of course I do." Then you go to the 3rd question. You say, "Well, then are you ready to get started?" And you're bobbing and nodding the whole time. You're looking Mary right in the eye. You're bobbing and nodding, and you say, "Well, great. So are you ready to get started?" And Mary says, "Yes." Then your application's right there, all ready to go. And you say, "Well, great. Where do you want your kit sent? Where do you want your supplies sent? Where do you want your business in a box sent?" Look down and wait for them to give you their address. And you're golden. It's that simple. Okay? Now, if they balk after the 3-question close, if they balk at all, so you say, let me walk you through somebody balking here. "So Joe, what'd you like best?" This looks really good, man. I'm impressed. This is not what I thought it was going to be." Then you say, "Hey, you know what? Glad to hear that. Me too. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised at my first business briefing. It wasn't what I expected. So let me ask you, so do you see an opportunity for yourself?" Yeah, well, yeah, of course I see the opportunity. I don't know. I don't know if it's for me or not, right? Well, if they say something like that, you can ask the 3rd question if you want, but I wouldn't ask it because it sounds like they've got some sort of hang up. If you get hung up at any point during the 3-question close, you're going to move right to the 4-question close immediately. Just if they go, I don't know, I just don't know if it's me, if it's for me, or I don't know, my wife's not real supportive about these type of things, or I don't know, I mean, my brother did this back in the 80s, whatever, you know, if you get hung up during the 3-question close at all, do not hesitate, move right into the 4-question close and just say, "Well, listen, just let me ask you this, based upon everything you've seen here today, just hypothetically," right? And that's a very important word, especially if they're skeptical, okay? Just hypothetically, if you were to get started on a part-time basis, how much money would you need to earn per month to make it worth your while? Okay, and pay attention. You got to remember this, and you might even want to write it down when you ask them the question. So you've done a couple of things right now that are very, very important. Number one, you got them out of that negative track, right? They got into kind of a negative rut, and you want to get them out of that rut before that negativity catches momentum, right, and begins to spread and fester. So you're changing their psychology. You're getting them out of the rut. Number two, what you're doing is, and there's real magic in this four-question close, the psychology here is brilliant, but you're getting them to visualize in their mind's eye, you're getting them to see themselves doing the business, right? I mean, it's brilliant. With this four-question close, I mean, the three is amazing because it's so simple. The four-question close is like blow your mind powerful because of all the psychology that's built into these four questions. So Joe says, on the previous screen, so what'd you like best, Joe? This is really interesting. It's way better than I thought. Yeah, you know what? Me too. I was pleasantly surprised. It's way better than what I expected as well. So Joe, let me ask you, see an opportunity for yourself? I don't know, man. I'm just so busy, and we've got the new baby, and okay, I'm moving right into the four-question close. Okay, I'm done with the three-question. I got hung up there, so I moved right in. I go, hey, and hey, by the way, congratulations again on the new baby, man. That has got to be exciting. Um, what a blessing for you and your family. But Joe, listen, just based upon everything you've seen here today, I mean, just hypothetically, man, if you were going to get started on a part-time basis, just again, hypothetically, how much money would you need to make per month to make this worth your while? Okay. And Joe says a number. Now, I mean, you'll see, a lot of people will look up and to the right, they look up and to the right, and they're trying to figure it out in their head. They're like, I don't know, $1,000, right? Remember that number, whatever they tell you, remember to write it down. So he says $1,000. Okay. All right. So about how many hours? I know you said you're busy, but how many hours per week could you realistically work the business? Now he's visualizing his life. He's visualizing working the business. He's creating this mathematical equation in his head, this cost payoff equation, right? What's it going to cost me? What's the payoff? He's trying to figure it all out. He's visualizing in his head, right? What the mind of man can conceive, visualize, see in their mind's eye, what the mind of man can conceive and believe he can achieve. So we want Joe to conceive this in his mind. Okay, we're going to give him the belief in just a moment. But with conceiving and believing comes achieving. So about how many hours per week, Joe, do you think you could realistically work the business? Joe says, man, I'm just baked, bro. Right? I got 5 hours a week, tops. All right. That's great, man. And a lot of people have built very, very successful businesses just by starting out only 5 hours a week. So let me ask you this, about how many months would you be would you be willing to work the business to earn $1,000 a month? Okay, I filled in the blank there from answer from the first question that I asked him, the first answer that he gave me. All right, well, about how many months would you be willing to work the business to earn that kind of money, to earn $1,000 a month? Again, now he's thinking, he's visualizing doing the business. He's considering this cost payoff. And really what he's doing is he's selling himself into the business. He's making a decision on his own that, yeah, I could see myself doing this. Yeah, I'd like to make 1,000 a month. Yeah, I could give this thing 5 hours a week. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'd give it, I don't know, man, I'd probably give it 6 months, Chris. If I could work this business 5 hours a week and be making $1,000 a month in extra money 6 months from now, man, that'd be killer, right? So now he's getting a little more animated, starting to get excited. And I go, awesome, all right, so $1,000 a month 6 months from now. So Joe, if I can show you how to earn $1,000 a month working only 5 hours a week over the next 6 months, is there anything else you need to know before you get started? That's it. That's the four-question close. He told you how much money he wants to make in this business per month. He told you how many hours he has. He told you how many months he's willing to give the business. And now you're asking him the $1 million question. Well, look, if I can show you how to do what you just said you're willing to do and what you want to do, if I can show you how to do that, why would you not get started? Right? We don't ask it that way, but that's basically the question. If I can show you how to earn $1,000 a month working only 5 hours a week over the next 6 months, is there anything else you need to know before you get started? And bob and nod, bob and nod, mirror match. And he may hesitate. He may be like, I guess not, man. I mean, if I can do it 5 hours a week, I mean, if you can show me how to do that, man, I guess I'm in. All right, man. Welcome aboard. So where do you want your business in a box sent? Where do you want your materials sent? Look down, put your pin on the address, and wait for Joe to talk. And that's how you close at the end of a live event. You start with a 3-question close. That's going to be good the majority of the time. If you get hung up at all, you immediately go to the 4-question close. Now, one of my mentors is a guy by the name of William E. Bailey. This is kind of a bad picture of him. He's a brilliant network marketer, but he built a business back in the 60s, 70s that was bringing $64 million a month in revenues in only 12 years. That's almost $1 billion a year. And I asked him once in an interview, I got to stay at his house for a couple of days, his little farm in Kentucky. And I said, William, how in the world did you do that? And that was what my whole 2 or 3 days that I was there, the whole time I'm interviewing him, I'm asking him questions. I'm trying to figure out how he built a business that was doing 64 million a month in revenues in only 12 years, which by the way is more money than Legal Shield is making after 40 years, right? Just to put that in perspective. He did it in 12 years. And I said, Mr. Bailey, how did you do that? And this is one of the things that he said. Young man, he's got this deep voice, calls me young man or young Christopher. Young man, it's called practice, drill, and rehearse. Practice, drill, and rehearse. Practice, drill, and rehearse. He said, we'd bring our leaders in once a month into this fancy hotel in Chicago. And we practiced and we drilled and we rehearsed. And we practiced and we drilled and we rehearsed. He said, my men knew their lines. They knew their lines. They knew how to build the business. They mastered their craft. We practiced, we drilled, we rehearsed. He said they could do it in their sleep. And so we've talked about a lot of things thus far in these webinars. We talked about the 3-question close. We talked about the 4-question close. You've got to master those things. Those of you that have teams, why not have a pizza party? Invite everybody over. Practice, drill, and rehearse. Practice, drill, and rehearse. Practice, drill, and rehearse. Practice doing 3-way calls. Practice edifying. Practice the 3-question close over and over and over and over. He said, Chris, we would practice something very, very simple for 8 to 10 hours a day for 2 days back to back. I mean, can you imagine doing the 4-question close over and over and over for 8 to 10 hours a day, 2 days in a row, back to back to back? And you know what else Mr. Bailey told me is he says, Chris, most people won't do that. And that's why most people never become professionals and why most people never make money. Man, he's good. So we're on the backside now, family, of our How to Recruit 20 People in March webinar series. This is part 3 of the series. I do want to make one announcement before we open it up for Q&A. The announcement is this. We could only get a room for about 150 people for our breakout convention. Our team, the one and only get together that we're doing is Team Renew. We could only get a room for 150 people. We already have more people than that registered for convention, and then you add spouses to that, and it's going to be out of control. We've sold dozens of tickets already, and all the Team Renew 6-figure ring earners and millionaire club members are going to be at this event. We're going to be training. We're going to be rolling out the new tools. We're going to be casting a vision for the coming year. What it is that we're going to do, how we're going to do it. We've got some exciting announcements. This is only $10 per person. Those of you that are already planning on going, I highly recommend that you get your tickets now. When we're sold out, we're sold out. If we've got to close it down before we even get to the convention, then we'll do that. But a lot of you are already registered. Congratulations for that. Those of you that are not registered, you can register at teamrenew.com/store. Just go there. It's $10. It's super easy. You can get your ticket for you, or a ticket for you and a spouse or a friend or whoever you'd like. The whole process will probably take you 3 minutes. So after the call, let me give you some post call, or excuse me, after the webinar, let me give you some post call, post webinar, assignment, and that is to go to the website, get your Oklahoma City breakout convention right away before those sell out. All right, so let's open it up for Q&A. Next week, just so you know, next week we're going to talk about how to get your new associates started right. This is a major issue, and I have a very, very exciting announcement to make next week, adding an additional tool to our arsenal for Team Renew, just to give you another unfair advantage in the marketplace where you've got access to some things that other people just don't have access to. And we will announce that on next week's webinar, which will be our final webinar. And also, I've got another very, very, very important and exciting announcement to make that I'll make at the very end of next week's webinar as well. So hang out for that. Let's take some questions. I'm going to open up my web panel here. And if you have questions, feel free to chat those over. Just type them out, send them over. If y'all can hear me, let me know. I just got a chat here that says that there is no voice and we can't hear you. So please send, yeah, okay. Wink says it's fine. All right, thank you very much. All right, loud and clear. All right, very good. Will the replays be up just for a limited time, or will they remain on the website? They will be up forever, Jan. These are, we're not going to take them down. They're really powerful training tools, and so they'll always be there. Thank you, Wink. Appreciate that, and Curtis, and Land, and Shelly. All right, Doc. Thanks so much for the expertise. You appreciate it, sir. I can hear. Okay, Tammy, I cleared up after a few minutes. Okay, very good. All right, does anybody have any questions? I'd love to spend some time on that. This is, I believe, our shortest webinar that we've done yet. And I wanted to, get in and get out so that we could answer questions on the back end. Look at that. You see that practice? I don't know if y'all saw that email on my screen, but somebody just bought a convention or a breakout ticket. So congratulations. All right, Josh was asking a question. If after the 3 and the 4 question closes, what is the next step if the person's only problem is not having the money right then? There's a lot of techniques and things that people do. If they don't have the money, and it just depends on who they are. You can get away with this with maybe younger people or some older people, but you got to be careful, and you don't want to do it to the wrong person. But here's how I handle it. If somebody says, I just don't have the money, I want to get started, I just don't have the money, I say, hey, no problem, we take credit card. Do you have a Visa or a MasterCard? Oh, no. Like when I say I have no money, I have no money. All right, well, hey, listen. Let me ask you a question. And now I start smiling at them, right? I'm kind of teasing them a little bit. Well, first of all, I'd say, well, Joe, you know what? I can totally understand because I didn't have the money either. So I totally understand how you feel. But you know what? I wasn't going to let $149 come in between me and opportunity. You know what I mean? Right? I mean, that's subtle, but there's some psychology there. There's no way I was going to let 149 bucks. I mean, it's ridiculous. Only 149 bucks come between me and the best opportunity that had ever fallen in my lap. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Joe? Joe's like, yeah. I go, so Joe, listen, what's your favorite car, man? And Joe says, oh, I want a Lexus, whatever. Okay, let's say he wants a Lexus LX. I don't even know what they are anymore. A Lexus LX, let's say. Okay, perfect. And what is that? About a $90,000 car? Yeah. Okay. Let's say out in the parking lot, there was a Lexus LX brand new, and it's got a for sale sign hanging in the back, and it says for sale $149. About how long would it take you to come up with 149 bucks? Right? So I mean, these are just some ideas that you can come up with, that you can use. I have fun with this. I kind of joke around about them, and I'm like, look, we're not talking about 149,000. 149,000. You may not know anybody that has that kind of money. 149 bucks. You know, you spend 149 bucks on a weekend you don't remember. You know, I mean, let's. Who do you know that loves you enough to help put you into business? Right? I mean, these are some things that you can ask. So there are some people that do like, well, hey, if you go out and get a sale, you know, give me the sale, I'll give you the money to help you get started. Some people do that. I don't do that anymore. I just, you know what? If you can't come up with $149, I mean, I was about as broke as they come. I was hiding my car from the bank. I was living in the ghetto. I was living below the poverty level for nearly a decade. I was bouncing checks. I was throwing my credit card statements in the mail, in the trash, unopened. And so I have very little, you know, sympathy, empathy for somebody who doesn't feel like they can come up with $149. If they can't come up with $149, this is my opinion, y'all. If they can't come up with $149, either go out and through sweat equity or borrowing it from friends, I just don't think they're going to do well in the business. I mean, if they don't have enough relationships out there in the world to come up with $149, I mean, that's 10 people giving you 15 bucks. You know, that's 3 people giving you 50 bucks. That's one person giving you a $150 loan. If they can't find somebody to give them a $150 loan, they're probably going to have a really hard time finding somebody to join the business, finding somebody to buy the membership. So I don't waste a lot of time and effort on them. They're there at the briefing. You know, I'll try some of these things. Hey, look, if that Lexus was out there in the parking lot, it was for sale for 149 bucks. You could take it home tonight. How long would it take you to come up with 149 bucks? And if he says something ignorant like, I don't know, man, probably like, I don't know, like 3 months or something. I don't know, bro. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, you know, next, you're out of here, right? I mean, that's just a knucklehead right there. And forgive me, y'all. I'm kind of letting my rough and tumble side out. But really, it's like, come on, seriously? Your dream car is sitting in the parking lot, and we don't talk to them this way, by the way. This is all in my between my own ears. But it's like, you know, your dream car is sitting in the parking lot for $149, a $90,000 car, and it's going to take you months to come up with 149 bucks. You know, that person's not serious. All right, let's move on. Awesome info, very helpful, very good. Thank you. So, are you ready to get started? I'm ready, Laura. You ready? After asking what do you like best, I have problems with fluffy answers like all of it, everything. Do you try to drill down to something more concrete? No. You know, if we're asking them why are you in the business, we want to drill that down and we want something concrete. We want something that is directly affixed to their heart, right? Something that's going to make them cry, something that moves them emotionally when it comes to their why they're doing the business. But if they give you fluffy answers, take it, man. Take it. Take whatever they give. There's no need to interrogate them. We want to get to the closing questions as quickly as we possibly can. So make sure that, you know, don't drill them, don't interrogate them, don't drill sergeant them. Just accept what they give you. If they go, all of it, everything, this is amazing, this blows my mind, you just take it and run, man. You just, hey, it blows my mind too, man. I've been in for 3 years and it's still blowing my mind. So are you ready to get started? Right? I mean, you just move right through it. So I hope that helped. If not, feel free to ask again. Hey, Tim. Shelly asks, I think I already registered for the breakout. Do you have a list of who's registered? We don't yet, but Shelly, if you're, you know, check your email from CS Hughes International. That's, you would have gotten a receipt from me, and it's C.S.Hughes International. See if you got a receipt from me. If not, I'd recommend go ahead and buying another ticket. If we find out that you bought two, we'll refund you $10 at the door. So it's better to be safe than sorry. It's a great membership. At least begin with the membership, Daniel says. Yeah, you know, if they're not, if they completely just flat out no, don't want to do the business, or they don't have the money right now, just say, well, look, I'll let you put together the $149, but let's get the membership started tonight so that you can start using it, so that you have your own success stories that you can start sharing with people once you get started. And if they balk on that, then just, send them out the door. Oh, and hey, by the way, somebody asked me this at our business briefing. I did a similar training. Um, I did a similar training, a week or two ago in Sandy, Utah. And somebody asked the question, what do you do if you have more than one guests? And, how do you close 3 or 4 guests at the same time? You circle up with them and go through the exact same process. Instead of just looking at one person, you're scanning the group, right? So what y'all like best? So what'd you guys like best? What'd y'all like best, right? And you look around. I can say y'all. I can get away with that. I'm from Texas, but so what'd y'all like best? And you make eye contact with all 3 of them, all 4 of them. So, do you see an opportunity for yourself? Yeah, yeah, it's great, great, great. Yeah, okay, excellent. Well, sir, you ready to get started? Yeah, all right. And in that case, you may want to hand them paperwork, right? 'Cause you're not going to be able to do paperwork for all 3 of them. So, well, here, let me go ahead and get you the applications. And if somebody is negative, somebody asked that question, what if somebody's negative in the group? You immediately stand up and walk them out. And it would sound like this. So what'd y'all like best? And let's say one of them says, this is a joke. This is just seriously, I thought, I didn't think it was going to be like this. This is not for me, right? You just say, okay, hey, no problem, no problem. Hey, y'all, I'll be right back. I'm going to walk Joe out. I want to make sure he gets out safely. Here's your applications. I'll be right back in just a second. And get Joe out of there, right? Walk him out of the room. Say, hey, man, thank you so very much for coming. This wasn't your cup of tea. No harm, no foul. I'm just glad that you came. Um, I'll touch base with you, in a day or two, just to see how you're doing. But thanks again for coming. Get them out of the room, get back in there, pick up right where you left off. So what'd y'all like best, right? That'll happen. I mean, it'll happen very, very rarely. All right. Hey, well, I want to give a shout out to Bobby. I think I don't know if the last name is spelled right, but yeah, quick shout out to Bobby. If you're on the line, welcome to the team, man. We're so glad that you're here. Derek says, thank you for this, Chris. You're welcome. Joshua, what if they ask for me to expand on any of the info they just saw during the presentation? How would I handle that without talking too much? That is such a great question. Don't do it. Don't do it. If they're like, well, so tell me how this works. You say, you know what? I'm going to have, I'm going to have Mrs. Smith do that for you. A couple reasons. I want you to see the kind of support that we have. But, Mrs. Smith is making a pile of money, and she's so, she'd be able to do this much better than I could, right? So just do that. But you don't want to get into that, and it shouldn't happen a lot. They may ask some questions about how the compensation plan works or whatever, but just get up and go find somebody. Hopefully, there's somebody in the room that can help you with that. And if not, maybe you do a three-way call. Call your upline, call your support team if they're not in the room, and see if they can help you out. All right, Shelly says, okay, thanks, great. Um, all right. Oh, I feel you, Bobby. In high school for 5 years, I'm not trying to be a one-upper, but I was in high school for 6 years. I had 3 senior years. All right, Andrew. If a prospect is willing to put together a PBR with enough prospects to fast start qualify, is it okay to sponsor them first? Um, Clarify that for me, Andrew. Are you talking about somebody who doesn't have the money? Send me back the answer to that. Thanks, Chris. This has helped tremendously, says Mark. You bet. Land. How long does it take for the email to come from CS Hughes? I saw my name pop up on your screen and have the confirmation on the website, but haven't seen the email. Still waiting. It just depends on how busy the servers are. It could take, I mean, I've had some emails when I'm testing the system. Sometimes it's immediately, like 1 second later. Sometimes it's, 2 or 3 hours, 6 hours later. Check your spam folder, see if it's in there, but it might be a while. Um, so just keep checking. I saw my name pop up. Okay, haven't seen that. And still waiting for the text notification from my Visa card notifier. Oh, wow, interesting. Yeah, if it doesn't go through, send me an email and I'll have someone check the records and hit you back, let you know that if you're registered and you're good to go. Do you have to be a member of Team Renew to go to the breakout session? No, absolutely not. I mean, if you're on the line here tonight, if you buy a ticket and you show up, you get in. That's one of the things that we decided many, many years ago is we're not egocentric. We're not exclusive. I've had several people text me, email me, call me, and ask me if they can get on these webinars. And our answer is absolutely. The more the merrier. We would love to help more people. We want to help as many people as we can. We don't, especially when it doesn't take any time out of my pocketbook. It doesn't take any time out of my calendar to help you, Joanne, because if I'm already doing the breakout and you're there, that doesn't cost me anything. If I'm already doing the webinar and you're here, that doesn't cost me anything, right? There's no sacrifice being made there. There's no it's not hurting me. And I believe in karma, and I want to help you do well because I know that that's going to come back on me, many times over. So Lauren says, "What do you do?" Oh, hi, Lauren. It's my niece. Yeah, niece. I was like, niece, come. What do you do if they want to talk it over with their spouse before they make a decision? That's a tough one because I don't want to be in the middle of marital conflict. I think if they say that, I would, what I say is I say, hey, listen, I totally get that. You're a smart man. You're smart. You're a smart man. I wouldn't say that to a woman because it's just different, but I would say that to a man and say, well, look, um, don't make the mistake that so many people make. And they literally go home and talk to their spouse. Do not do that. Share this video with your spouse. Don't talk to them because of what we talked about tonight, right? We talked about third party. We talked about how, your wife, your husband likes you, knows you, trusts you, but they don't respect you when it comes to Legal Shield. So I'd let them go home. Or maybe there's been times I'll say, hey, no problem. Let's go ahead and get all the paperwork done so that there's no delay. I will not turn this paperwork in until you get the okay from the missus or from the mister. And matter of fact, if it's comfortable for you, just leave the credit card information blank. Sign the credit card authorization, but just leave the information blank. That way, everything's done. I have the paperwork. We're ready to rock. If your wife gives you the thumbs up, you just call me and say, hey, she said thumbs up. Here's my credit card number and expiration, and we're ready to go. But I would also make sure that, and I'm going to type this, let's see, 512-404-2330, option. I want to make sure you're all using this. Option 3. I'm going to send this to all of you. Make sure that you're using that phone number. I don't care if your guest signs up or doesn't sign up at the briefing. You give them that phone number. It's my newest CD, Welcome to the Business. It's a 30-minute shot in the arm inoculation. I mean, it'll rock your prospect's mind. It will tell them, don't talk to your spouse. Don't do this. Don't do this. Watch out for dream busters. Here's how you handle this concern. Watch out for this concern. And then it sells the dream. If not Legal Shield, what? If not now, when? And I tell testimonials, all these incredible stories of all the money that's been made by all these people, right? It gets them fired up. We've had people listen to that CD as a first exposure. They don't know anything about Legal Shield, and we've had people listen to that. They either give them the physical CD or they have them dial into our sizzle call number 512-404-2330 and let option number 3 and let them listen to that audio. We've had people sign up just by listening to that audio. So Lauren, if you send them home to talk to their spouse, that's fine, but make sure that they listen to that call before they get home. And here's how I do that. I say, oh, hey, listen, feel free, talk to your spouse. Let's go ahead and get your paperwork done, all that, blah, blah, blah. But look, before you do anything, before you show this video to your spouse, before you talk to anybody, before you do anything at all, Let me write this number down. I write on the back of a business card. Okay. Dial this number. When you get in your car, dial this number, put it on speakerphone, and just listen to it. It's 30 minutes long. Even if you have to sit in your driveway to finish this call, make sure you listen to every word of it. It's really, really going to help you. And if y'all will use that call, it is so powerful. It's so powerful, and it's going to help you lock your associates in. It's going to get them excited. It's going to help them make more money, less rejection, better morale. It's going to prepare them for the realities of the business. Lance says, thank you. All right, Joshua, if after the close, and I hope I answered your question, Lauren. If not, just hit me with a follow-up. If after the close, the prospect is not quite ready, but there's definitely interest there, how long before following up again with them? Oh, I do another three-way call. I do another three-way call the next day. I would get them to a luncheon. If they're not quite there, I go, hey, listen, this is a process, man. Some people, it takes 3, 4, 5 different exposures to the business to get started. As a matter of fact, and you may want to share with them um, a story of somebody who had to go 4 or 5 different events before they got started. But no, it's you don't want to drop them and then follow up in 6 months. You want to keep the conversation going, keep them in this process. If a big speaker, Darnell Self, comes to town, get them to Darnell Self. They'll sign up. I mean, get them, get them to a regional, get them to a Super Saturday. But if the door's open, step through the door, man. Don't stop stepping through the door. If they leave the door open, you keep the conversation alive. You keep exposing them. Send them some online videos. Send them, a copy of the pay plan. Send them to our Team Renew website so they can see the leadership and see the kind of support that you want to drip on them. Just drip on them and drip on them. Don't overwhelm them. Be careful not to overwhelm them, but you can definitely drip on them. Okay. How do I get the replay for the last 2 webinars? Teamrenew.com. Teamrenew.com, and scroll down and look for the blog post entitled Recruit 20 Webinar Series. Okay, Lauren. Oh, hi, Lauren. Thank you. All right, LeGrand. Great webinar tonight, as are the first 2. Really appreciate you and the help you so freely give us. Thank you, LeGrand. I appreciate that very, very much. Joanne says, thanks for your help. Really a great webinar. I believe it will come back to you in abundance. I receive that, Joanne. Thank you. I receive. Missed them due to work. Oh, no problem. That's why we recorded. Third party DVD. James, I'm not sure what that's out of context. I'm not sure what to do with that. If you'll hit me back, James. Email arrived. Oh, good. You got your email. Very good. Marilyn, hi. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. This is great. I use my home for team events and will have pizza party using Mr. Bailey's practice drill and rehearse. Good for you. This is such great information, says Andrew. Coming at a time that I'm spooling up, I think. Thanks so much. All right, great leadership issues. Appreciate that, Joshua. All right, I have seen both the 3-question and the 4-question close before with no explanation. You clarified when and how to use each. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Michael. All right, wow. Oh, the questions are still coming in. If you have questions, follow-up questions, and congratulations, y'all. It's almost every single one of you that logged in on the beginning of the webinar are still here 60, 70 minutes in. So I congratulate you for that. It boggles my mind when people jump off during the Q&A, because that's when we get some of the best stuff. That's where we fill in the gaps for some of the things that we may have missed. So if you have any questions, comments, or anything, feel free to ask those now. Andrew says, I have a prospect wanting to wait until taxes are done. What should I tell that prospect, even if they've asked me to call at the end of April? You can offer to do a PBR at their house, and if people sign up, maybe you loan them the 149, because they got 3 sales, and you turn in those 3 sales on their name, and then they give you the 149 back. I mean, you can be as creative as you want to be. Don't push too hard. If he or she has made it very, very clear that they're not doing anything until April, well, it's about them. It's not about us. So we have to respect that. But if there are things that you can do without being too pushy or without disrespecting their wishes, then by all means, do that. Keep them in the pipeline. Continue exposing them. Give them creative financing options. Okay. Anne Marie says, thank you so much. Getting a briefing started in South Carolina, smaller than Ada, Oklahoma. Hey, good for you. Just a suggestion, if the spouse earlier has not got the info, but your call is better. Yeah, use the call. I absolutely. And thanks for the suggestion, James. Thank you, Mr. Hughes, for all the time and help. You bet, Linda. Appreciate that. Andrew Colton, sorry, that was a separate question. Okay, if I missed the question, Andrew, hit me back. We'll give it about 30 more seconds. Anybody have any additional questions? If you do, I'll take them. If not, we'll be back here next week for how to learn how to get new associates started. Not seeing any more questions. This is our last opportunity. James, thanks so much. You bet. Taylor, when do you or do you ever sign someone up under the $65 start? No, never, ever, 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 ever. If somebody ever asks about that, this is why I like to use the application. It's why I like to fill out the application. I want to get through it as quickly as possible. I don't want them to ask questions about the $65 start. Here's what I tell them. They go, "What's the $65 start?" Oh, do the get. Just you want to blow it away. You want to blow that question, that concern away. You just say, "Oh, you don't nothing." I mean, that's just it. It takes you forever to advance in the compensation plan. You're not entitled to bonuses. That's nothing that you want that you want to anything to do with. I mean, just like totally annihilate that concern. Don't even go there. Don't even try to explain it beyond what I just shared with you. Dave says, "Thank you. I've been dormant for a while, but I'll be getting re-fired up." Awesome. You're welcome. Thought the $65 start was no longer available. You know what? You guys, a lot of you know I've been up in the mountains for 2.5 years, semi-retired and recently back in the game, and I do most of the things online. I don't know if it's available or not. Is it? Maybe somebody else can answer the question. Have them use the $75 rebate option. Yeah, I mean, it's just a non-issue. I mean, right now we have the $75 rebate, which is phenomenal, and I hope everybody's taking advantage of that. But yeah, I just won't even give that $65 option. It's not available, Thomas. Can you clarify? So not available. A business owner is wanting to wait until they are done with taxes. How can Legal Shield help with taxes? Well, maybe, if they have a tax law question, they can ask. If they would have bought the membership last year before the new year, Legal Shield would protect an IRS audit on 2012. But if they miss that, then I mean they're covered for this year. So I mean I wouldn't push that issue, Andrew, too much. If they need to wait, let them wait. If you can come up with some ideas that would be motivational to them, great. Mike says, "Great webinar. All three have been exceptional. I look forward to the challenge you have to put to me to recruit 20 in spite of trepidation and fears that keep creeping in. March will be a great month for all of us." Yes, and we're going to tie all this together next week, talking more specifically, just reminding everybody about the calendar, how to set it up, what we have to do and when. All that'll be recapped in next week's seminar. And the $65 option is gone, says Thomas. Thanks, Wink. Appreciate that. All right, everybody. Well, I don't know what that means, Lori. Number way. Number way. I don't know what that means. If you can help me. Oh, three-way. Yes, I can take a three-way as soon as we're off of this. Curtis says, "This is so cool. See you next week." Andrew, okay, moving on to the next prospect. Thank you very much. All right, y'all, congratulations. We completed part 3 in a 4-part series. So excited for all of you. We're rounding third now on all of this training process as we approach March to have an absolute recruiting explosion in the month of March. And I'm so excited about that. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll be back here next Wednesday night with some really, really exciting stuff and some exciting announcements and information. Till then, take care, take charge. God bless. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.